Have you ever received an invitation to something really special? A wedding, a milestone birthday, or maybe an exclusive event? You get that beautiful card, you feel honored, you mark your calendar, and you start planning what to wear. It feels great to be chosen, to be included. Well, today we're diving into a story Jesus told that's all about an invitation, the most important one you will ever receive. It's found in the book of Matthew, chapter 22, and it's called the Parable of the Great Feast. It's a story that's both fascinating and challenging, so let's get right into it. Jesus also told them other parables. He said, "The kingdom of heaven can be illustrated by the story of a king who prepared a great wedding feast for his son. When the banquet was ready, he sent his servants to notify those who were invited, but they all refused to come. So he sent other servants to tell them, 'The feast has been prepared, the bulls and fattened cattle have been killed, and everything is ready. Come to the banquet.' But the guests he had invited ignored them and went their own way, one to his farm, another to his business. Others seized his messengers and insulted them and killed them. The king was furious, and he sent out his army to destroy the murderers and burn their town. And he said to his servants, 'The wedding feast is ready, and the guests I invited aren't worthy of the honor. Now go out to the street corners and invite everyone you see.' So the servants brought in everyone they could find, good and bad alike, and the banquet hall was filled with guests. But when the king came in to meet the guests, he noticed a man who wasn't wearing the proper clothes for a wedding. 'Friend,' he asked, 'how is it that you are here without wedding clothes?' But the man had no reply. Then the king said to his aides, 'Bind his hands and feet and throw him into the outer darkness, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. For many are called, but few are chosen.'" Wow, that's a powerful story, isn't it? And right after telling it, Jesus is immediately confronted by his enemies, trying to trip him up. The chapter continues. Then the Pharisees met together to plot how to trap Jesus into saying something for which he could be arrested. They sent some of their disciples, along with the supporters of Herod, to meet with him. "Teacher," they said, "we know how honest you are. You teach the way of God truthfully. You are impartial and don't play favorites. Now tell us what you think about this. Is it right to pay taxes to Caesar or not?" But Jesus knew their evil motives. "You hypocrites," he said, "why are you trying to trap me? Here, show me the coin used for the tax." When they handed him a Roman coin, he asked, "Whose picture and title are stamped on it?" "Caesar's," they replied. "Well then," he said, "give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar, and give to God what belongs to God." His reply amazed them, and they went away. Let's unpack this because there's so much here. First, the parable. The king is God, the Father, the Son is Jesus, and the wedding feast. That's the glorious celebration of salvation, the invitation into the kingdom of heaven. Initially, the king sends invitations to a specific group. In the context of Jesus' time, this represented the people of Israel, who had been chosen first to receive God's covenants and promises. But when the invitation comes, they refuse. They're too busy. One has a farm, another a business. They prioritize their daily lives, their worldly possessions, and their own agendas over the king's incredible offer. Think about how that applies to us. God extends this amazing invitation for a relationship with him, for eternal life, for a seat at his table. And how often do we say, "Not now, God. I'm too busy with my career. I'm focused on my social life. I have other plans." We make excuses, just like the people in the parable. The story takes a dark turn when some not only refuse the invitation but also mistreat and kill the king's messengers. This reflects the history of how many of God's prophets were rejected and killed for bringing his message. The king's response is one of righteous anger. He holds them accountable for their horrific actions. But here's the beautiful part. The king doesn't cancel the party. The feast is still ready. He tells his servants, "The first people I invited weren't worthy. So go out to the streets and invite everyone." This is a stunning picture of grace. The invitation is now open to all the good and the bad, the rich and the poor people from every background. This represents the gospel going out to the Gentiles, to you and to me. No one is excluded from the initial call. The doors are thrown wide open, but there's a catch, and it's a crucial one. A man is found at the feast without the proper wedding clothes. Now, in that culture, a wealthy host like a king would often provide the garments. For his guests, it wasn't about the guest being able to afford a nice outfit. It was about accepting the gift of the host. To refuse the provided garment was a deep insult. It was like saying, "Your provision isn't good enough for me, I'll come on my own terms." This wedding garment symbolizes the righteousness of Christ. We can't get into the kingdom of heaven based on our own good works or our own merits. Our own clothes are like filthy rags. As the prophet Isaiah says, we must be clothed in the righteousness that Jesus provides, which we receive through faith in him. This man tried to get in on his own terms without accepting the king's provision, and the consequence was severe. He was cast out. This leads to that final, sobering line. For many are called, but few are chosen. The call, the invitation, goes out to everyone. That's the many. But the chosen are those who are SVP, yes, they accept. The invitation and the garment. They come on God's terms, clothed in the righteousness of Jesus, not their own. Now, how does this connect to the second part about taxes? The Pharisees are trying to trap Jesus. If he says yes, pay the tax, he'll be seen as a traitor to the Jews who hated Roman rule. If he says no, he can be reported to Rome for treason. It seems like a no-win situation, but Jesus, in his perfect wisdom, asks for a coin. He points to Caesar's image on it and says, "Give to Caesar." What belongs to Caesar? He acknowledges our earthly responsibilities. We live in this world, we are citizens of a country, and we have obligations. But then he adds the master stroke, and give to God what belongs to God. What belongs to God? Well, if the coin bears Caesar's image, what bears God's image? We do. Genesis 1:27 says that we are made in the image of God. So Jesus is brilliantly turning their trap back on them. He's saying, sure, give your money to the government, but give your whole self, your heart, your soul, your life to God, because you bear his image. It's the perfect answer. It connects right back to the parable. The people who rejected the wedding invitation were too busy giving everything to their farms and businesses, the things of this world. They forgot to give themselves, the beings made in God's image, back to God. So what's the takeaway for us today? First, recognize the incredible value of God's invitation. It's not a casual suggestion. It's a royal command to a glorious feast. Don't let the busyness of life cause you to ignore it or push it aside. Your career, your hobbies, your plans, they are temporary. The King's feast is eternal. Second, accept the invitation on God's terms. You can turn your way in. You must be clothed in the righteousness of Jesus. Accept his free gift of salvation. Let him be your wedding garment. And finally, live out your dual citizenship. Be a good citizen of your earthly country, but never forget your primary allegiance. You bear the image of God. Your ultimate purpose is to give your life, your worship, and your devotion to him. Give Caesar his coins, but give God your heart. Thanks so much for watching today. I hope this passage has challenged and encouraged you. If it has, be sure to like this video and subscribe for more content like this. We'd love to have you as part of our community. See you next time. I love reading your comments, so let me know how you love Jesus. I will pray for you every day. Search for Jesus at HaroldSwaney for the complete library of my Bible study videos. Thank you and God bless.